everybody. Today I'm coming to you with part 3 of my video series Chasing Numbers with me, Noah Chase. If you're a homeowner, parts 1 and 2 are very beneficial to you. Part 1, we figured out how much equity you can get out of your home by selling. And in part 2, we used a home equity line of credit to use the equity in your home to buy your next home. Now part 3, we're going to find out what closing costs are. So this is going to be beneficial for first-time home buyers or people that are buying your second or third homes. So today we're going to be going through closing costs, stuff outside of your down payment that you are going to have to pay in order to buy a house. Let's get started. In part 1 of this video series, we found out that the home that we're selling has $125,000 of current equity. Okay, and in part 2 of the video series, we found out with a home equity line of credit, we can borrow up to $115,000 for down payment. Let's assume for this example, we're going to use all $115,000 for a 20% down payment on our new house. So the new house is going to be, new house is going to cost $575,000, and we're putting a 20% down payment of $115,000. So what are the other costs involved other than down payment that we're going to need when we're buying a home? That's what we're going to find out today. I'm going to rewrite this up so it makes a little more sense. Okay, so the purchase price of the new home is $575,000. We're putting $115,000 for a down payment, which makes our mortgage $460,000. That's what we're going to work off of for closing costs. I'm going to go through some very round numbers on closing costs. It depends on the lender. Some are a little more expensive, some are a little less expensive. The first one is going to be loan origination. With all the small fees that the lender charges, it usually comes out around 1%. In this case, that is $4,600. Okay, the attorney fee somewhere, let's say $900 is a round number. If you want to buy a discount point is going to lower your mortgage rate or the interest rate. Usually the break-even point, it makes sense for you to buy a discount point if you plan on being in the home more than like 7 or 8 years is usually the break-even. If you plan on being in the home for less than 7 years, it usually doesn't make sense to buy a discount point. In this case, we're going to. They're usually 1% of the loan, so it's another $4,600. This is completely optional, it's up to you. Credit check is going to cost you probably $75. And then title insurance is another optional but very recommended fee. That's usually around $500. Okay, that's going to bring us to interim interest. So when you close on your home, the mortgage isn't due until 2 months after you close. So if you close on June 15th, you're not going to have a mortgage payment until August. But they're going to charge you for interest for every day that you touch the loan in the month. So if you close on the 15th, from the 15th to the 30th of June, you owe interest. We're going to go quickly through how you calculate interim interest. To calculate interim interest, we need to know the interest rate of your mortgage. For the sake of this example, you have to use 3%. Okay? You need to multiply the mortgage by 3% to find your annual interest, which ends up being $13,800. Divide that by your days of the year, 365. You get a daily rate for your interim interest. Ends up being $37.80 per day. So if we close on June 15th, it starts on June 15th to the 30th. That's 16 days. So you have to multiply that by 16 days. It ends up being around $605 for interim interest. So you're saying, Noah, if you close later in the month, you have less interim interest and less closing costs. That's correct. If we closed on the 25th, there would only be 6 days. The 25th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and the 30th, you'd only have 6 days of interim interest. So if you want to lower your closing costs, you want to close closer to the end of the year than the beginning of the year. We're going to stay at June 15th, and we're going to have $605 for your interim interest. Next, we're going to go over what your escrows are, because those are going to need to be paid at closing as well. Escrow payments are going to consist of insurance and taxes. But you're going to have to pay your first annual insurance payment for the home. So the insurance, let's actually put it down here. So your insurance is going to be, let's see, in this example, let's say it's $1,500 a year. Okay, you're gonna have to pay your annual amount, but then also you're going to need to put 2 months worth of insurance in your escrow. So that's $1,500, that's $125 a month. All right, so your escrow is going to need $250. Let's say taxes are $4,800 a year on this property. They're probably going to ask you, if it's late enough in the year, they may ask you for the rest of the year's taxes, but they're probably going to ask you for probably maybe 4 months of taxes. At $4,800, that's $400 per month. So you're going to have to probably put in $1,600 in escrow for property taxes. Also, if you have PMI, in this example we don't have any PMI, which is mortgage insurance, you would have to pay the annual first year, and then you would also have to pay in for your PMI as well. But we're not going to do that in this example. Next, we're going to go over costs outside of closing associated with buying a house that you need to think about. We're talking about the inspection. A basic inspection is probably going to go between $400 and $500. If you want a radon test, that's going to be an extra $100. If there's a septic, you might want a septic and an HVAC. Those both cost, between $100 and $200 a piece, on top of this $500 basic inspection. So you could be looking at, $800 or $900 for inspections on your home to make sure that everything is working the way it's supposed to. Okay? You're going to need to pay for an appraisal. That's outside of closing. That's between $500 and $600 for an appraisal. All right. You're also going to maybe want a survey. We recommend you getting a survey, but it's not 100% necessary. Sometimes surveys, depending on how big the land is, let's say $400 for a survey. If it's a huge tract of land, it's going to cost more. All right. So these are kind of expected closing costs. It's a very kind of rough idea, but what you maybe expect when buying a house. So let's add these together. 12,780. This is 1,850. And outside of closing, we're looking at another $1,500 for a grand total of $16,000 outside of your down payment for closing costs. So some of these are optional. You don't have to get a discount point. That would put this down around $12,000. There are some other maybe optional expenses here, but this is kind of what you can expect. So it's important to have a realtor that kind of understands that and kind of make sure you're aware of what you are expected to have at closing or to bring to closing for a down payment. Now, if you guys have any other ideas for other videos that I can do regarding any real estate math, please let me know. I'm happy to help. Otherwise, let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and have a great day.